biting off more than we can chew. That's such a good phrase when you think about it.
Yeah, because
It's just simple and to the point.
and you can really you put your chubby bunny. You know what I mean? You remember that game or that?
No, I've never heard of it. I've heard of Hungry Hungry Hippos.
You never heard of Chubby Bunny? It's not really a game. It's more like see how many marshmallows you can fit in your mouth and
Oh, yeah.
say Chubby Bunny.
Oh, okay. That's what you have to do?
It's not really a game. I don't know why I called it a game. It's
Yeah.
more like, but have you ever done that? Stuffed a million marshmallows in your mouth?
No. I've probably done something like it, but I've never done that. I'm not interested.
Well, biting off more than you can chew is pretty much the theme of our life right now, huh?
Is it?
I don't know.
I feel like
Last
it was.
few days.
I feel like it was the theme of our life. And I didn't really know that we had bitten off more than we can chew. And now that we've chewed it and digested and shit it out, I feel like we're in a particular place right now where we haven't bitten off more than we could chew. So when we do, like we kind of did this weekend, it's very apparent. It's like, oh, that old feeling again. I don't like this feeling.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me very sensitive. Yeah.
I think that why is it though that when you bite off more than you can chew, the next time you go to you can bite something bigger next time.
Well, that's the thing.
So it's always like kind of worth doing it.
That's why it's worth doing, because it definitely increases your patience and your endurance, and it's just like I've talked about a million times on here. Anything you could do to slay that little inner bitch that's telling you not to do things or to fall back or whatever, and it's a difference between your body crying out for rest and, an amplified little bitch in your head that's hanging around because you haven't exercised or whatever. We saw a great thing yesterday. We were pulling up to one of our shoots, and the truck next to us said most behavioral issues are caused by lack of exercise. It's just simple. I don't know why. It just said that on the side of a truck.
Why did it say that?
It was very strange. I mean,
people hate hearing that.
People hate hearing it. I hate hearing it, but like literally, it's so true. If I skip a day, if I'm not disciplined, and I skip a day, it starts to get me really off track.
Yeah, it's interesting finding the balance of like relating to each other in the morning, but also like taking care of what we need to take care of so we don't get into it about something fucking stupid.
Yeah, absolutely. You gotta take care of yourself first thing in the morning. Like for me, if I don't get hydrated and like lift some weights right away and get some sun in my eyes, like I'm already off to a wonky start, and I start convincing myself I'm tired.
Speaking about hydration, I haven't even done that.
Yeah.
And it's the afternoon.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was just having this thought. The last few days, we on a spur of the moment signed up to film like one of our favorite comedians, Jordan Jensen. Really fun.
She's really funny. She's
awesome.
My
God, yeah, she's such a talent. It's crazy. So I hope people really pick up on her. I think it's starting to happen.
Oh my God, she's huge.
Yeah, she's huge.
She's huge.
Well, the fact that she can go play a comedy club at fucking Palisades Mall and that there's anyone there.
5 shows.
She played 5 shows, and it was pretty impressive how many tickets she sold.
Definitely.
I was impressed and I was surprised. And but we know how talented she is, and we're just like, let's do this thing. Like, let's go down and film this. And it was a learning experience in a lot of ways.
Well, we're going from like a team of, I think we started off, what was our first thing we ever shot together? Like 9 people or something?
Yeah, what was the first thing we ever did
Well, it would have
together?
been Stray Dog.
Yeah, that was like 6 or 7 people.
Mm-hmm.
And then Oxiana was
like 11
or 12 people.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere we went, like a crew of 11 or 12 people to try to initiate like really probably the most intimate things someone could talk to us about on camera. So it was always a goal kind of since then to like have a less of a footprint and kind of see how it impacts the films. So
I need camera experience.
Yeah, Cass needs camera experience.
And it really
We're out
did
there
help
doing our
me.
thing. She's shooting our movie Wild Magic, and it's very commendable. And seeing you step up like this, like it's like we could sit around and feel bad for ourselves and be like, oh, no one wants to do this, or it's too expensive to do this with the people we want to do it with, or people's schedules aren't working out, or whatever. We could sit there and feel bad for ourselves, or we could pick up the camera, and that's what you chose to do.
I feel like it's about time. I didn't realize how long overdue it was. Um, but I do feel it's the appropriate amount of time. Because it's like
Yeah.
we always were like, oh my God, there's so many people just like going out and doing what we do. Like 2 people. Like, why do we need so many people to do it?
Because it's so fun. We like
It
an
is fun.
audience. You
It
know,
is
I
fun.
think we're really good at what we do, and there's like a palpable vibe when it's happening. And like I think all I do on these things sometimes is be the vibe smith of like, you know, these are the 6 people that should go do this particular project, and here's all the constraints of it. And to me, that's like me sculpting the vibe
Well, and
so
also,
something cool could happen.
yeah, and of course you want the most talented cinematographers, and we've worked with
Of course,
the most talented cinematographers
we've
ever.
lost them all to Marvel.
Yeah,
Literally.
literally.
Literally, we've lost a couple of our cinematographers, and they're now in the Marvel universe. Can you imagine? It's crazy.
But, yeah,
It's so crazy.
we're very blessed.
Yeah, we're very blessed as to who's been willing to work with us.
Yeah.
You know, and it feels like every chapter of our life, like we have to fucking burn out the energy of that chapter, right? So it's like I think we just needed to do the maximalist approach to documentary to see how it felt, and keep doing that, and then use it as a crutch for a few years and be like, oh, we're gonna need so and so, or like, you know, for like Wooks, I don't even think I'd want to have done that if we didn't have a friend with us, you know.
Well, when we realized we had to camp and stuff like that, it was just like, all right, this is going to be as low key as possible in order to pull this off.
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
with Wild Magic, it's like we need to be able to fall down rabbit holes, and you can't necessarily schedule when that's going to happen.
It's so hard to do. It's so hard to do with people that you're paying. And like Joey was cool. Like we could do it with Joey because like he's first and foremost our friend. But since he's not really around to do this, we're like, let's do it ourselves. And it's made us more available to the magic, I think.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I also really like what it's bringing out in our relationship. Like
Mm.
we both are required to like show up and take on so much responsibility that I can't just like be tending to your needs or whatever it is. It's like we both have to
Yeah.
just like show up and
Mhm.
do our part in a way that is like very collaborative and fun.
I think now looking back on our past shoots, I'm like, I have too much excess creative energy. That's why, like, you'll see me on a big commercial set acting like a PA because, like, I just have energy. And, like, once you have your look dialed in and the thing you want to do, and it's, like, so second nature, I don't know, there's just nowhere for that energy to go. So I'm like, oh, no, I'll move the ladder. I'll make sure this is over there. I'll make a run. I'll make sure everyone's, you know what I mean? I'll start acting like that on set. This approach, literally, we both just have our hands full, and we're, like, on minute details, you know, with the sound and with making sure the exposure's right and the focus is right, and did we use the right lens, and is the sound plugged in, did everything fire off at the right time, all that stuff. And it's weird. I think that kind of tricks us into a flow state with it, because the shoots are, you know, that thing that happens when you're like in a flow and it feels like it was like 5 minutes. Like 4-hour shoots are going by and they feel like 5 minutes to me. So it's something about that like weird self-hypnosis of like having to be myopically focused on something and so also trying to like carry out a vision. It's cool. I don't know. I think it's somewhat bringing out the best sides in us. It's like it's still too early to tell.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, what I do enjoy is that things that we wouldn't necessarily be able to capture, we're like, oh, let's go out and do it. And
Yeah.
we're proving something to ourselves in a way that's really fun, you know, because it always felt like, oh, we're more introverted. We can't approach people, even though, I mean, I've approached people. My whole career with you has been approaching people.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it does
yeah.
feel like I have the safety blanket of like, oh, there's a bunch of us,
Yeah.
or someone else could do it, or. But now it's like, I didn't realize how, I guess it's almost easier, you know, in a way.
Yeah.
Like I always used to approach people without a camera in my hand, and now I'm approaching people with a camera in my hand, and I'm like,
It's even more apparent what you're doing.
I'm like, I'm making a movie. You want to be in it? You know what I mean? Like
They always say yes.
What's going on?
They always want to do
Well,
it.
everyone's so beautiful, so I'm like, you look incredible. Can I get a shot of you? What are
Yeah.
you guys talking about? It's so interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's really cool now because, you know, you used to do that without the camera. You'd be like, you'd have to come back and get me, and then I would have to get the cinematographer, and we'd have to explain what's going on and then get it going. It's very immediate what's happening right now. Yeah, the other day we really tested our powers in one of the craziest ways when you think about it. We we dialed up our friend Daniel Fresco, my man, drummer extraordinaire, and we said, we're gonna come scoop you up in the Bronx. We'll go down to Washington Square Park, and we'll shoot you playing drums.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, let me get my guitar player friend. What's his name again? Larion. Oh my God, holy shit! These two came. We got there. We got to Washington Square Park. We just set up right in front of the fountain. It was somewhat of like a kind of a quiet day for Washington Square Park, meaning there wasn't like a lot of loud music somehow.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, we might be able to pull this off. The Angels have been with us. The Angels reserved us a parking spot right on the park. They reserved us a beautiful spot right in front of the fountain. The light was beautiful. The weather was beautiful. There was like a good amount of like our types of freaks around. Like, so the casting pool was large.
I don't know how well it came out, but we'll need to color correct to see how well it came out, but there was a point where the fountain was creating a rainbow behind them, and they're like playing this beautiful music.
The whole time. There was like a sick rainbow just like right behind them. And they're such, God, the rainbow-hearted few. They were there. You could feel that. You could feel like Daniel is such my rainbow-hearted brother, and he spreads joy wherever he goes. And he's the sickest drummer I've seen play in person. Like, he's so ridiculously good. It's crazy. And they set up and they played for 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And a huge crowd came around. And we're starting to, we're filming them, but we're also like, look at this guy over here. Oh, my God, there's this 84-year-old Chinese guy. And, we went over and we talked to him. And then this crazy woman is over here. Let's talk to her. This guy's dancing. This guy has animals out. And we were talking to this one guy, and it was right when Daniel started playing. And we're interviewing this guy, and Daniel was just, warming up. And it sounded like, from far away, it sounded like he was laying the backbeat for what this guy was saying.
Mm-hmm.
And Daniel couldn't even known we were filming that guy or whatever.
Yeah.
And it just sounded so synchronistic and so perfect. I was like, it's just one of those moments, and we have them a few times on every movie, where you're like, we're making this movie. Like, wow, this is happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're doing it right now. This is going to be in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And, the guy was we were interviewing this guy, and the music comes in perfectly, and he's talking about how he's into cannabis and vegan food and microdosing and all this stuff, and that he's a musician, and he was just about to go uptown to sing in a studio. And he was like, but these guys are so good. And I was like, that's our friends. We brought them here. We set this up. And he's like, no way. Came over, started singing with them, and we have a new band. We're actually going to a rehearsal space tomorrow night. We're gonna film.
Yeah, we're gonna film them. What I hope to be the first of many Church of Chill sessions.
Yes. Yeah.
Our version of the Tiny Desk concert.
Yeah. Or the KEXP. It's like some merging those worlds.
Well, with Church of Chill, our main thing is music is the sacrament, and we're documentarians. This has been an inevitable direction for us, is to film musicians.
Especially for me, what we're going to go do is putting together people that barely know each other, and maybe taking a little bit of acid, and just, it's purely improvised, nothing rehearsed. I think that really suits what we dig the most.
Yeah, it should be really special. The guys that Daniel and Larion, and then Saint Mike, who we were interviewing as Daniel's playing in the background, he's coming now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Daniel put it together. He knows a bunch of really talented people, but
it's just it's just one of those things. We literally could have just been sitting around licking our wounds, overthinking it, over preparing, and instead it's just it's fall, it's beautiful here. Let's go out, let's hit the streets. Let's go to me, the heartbeat of New York City is Washington Square Park. Let's go there. If we can't find people there, we're not gonna be able to find them anywhere. And we go there, and we're just overwhelmed by the rainbow-hearted many. You know, they were. It was like a gathering place. And I remember at one point, going to the car and coming back, and it's just Daniel's playing, and they're doing their thing, and all these people are gathered around. And I'm like, it feels like I'm walking back into a festival.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like a music festival that I was walking into. And that's happening in Washington Square Park probably right now as we speak.
I love that place so much.
It's so awesome. It's so awesome. And it makes me love and appreciate New York City more.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Washington Square Park.
Yeah, because there's freaks out there.
Yeah.
People who lust for life kind of homies.
They're also down to slow down interact and talk with you, and like it just seems like no one there is like in a big rush or taking themselves too seriously.
No, they're like, we're here. It's Maui it's Hawaii of New York City.
Yeah, totally.
It's like, this is the space. This is the place.
Yeah, yeah, it was really cool, and that like that was to me the most like over the top, like palpable, like damn, we didn't just document wild magic, we kind of made it.
Yeah, no, it felt like that. That was the best about it. Because for us, we're like, this isn't necessarily a movie about magic. It wanted to be a movie that is magic. And then, having this woman join them up and, like, I don't know what kind of.
Oh, my God.
Her version of what was that? Was she Russian or something?
It sounded like mystical Celtic chants, fucking some sort of pagan, like, it was crazy. It was crazy, this woman getting up there. And, like, we captured all this, so. Hopefully it'll make it in the movie.
And I thought it was synchronistic that we ran into a comedian we like. We're like, yo.
As soon as we got there, we saw Ari Shafir.
We're like, yo, man, you're awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was cool. And then I'm like talking to him and I'm like, I love your special Jew. And then like I had set up to talk to these Hasidic Jews that were like going around.
Cass.
And so like I'm talking to this guy I really respect. And then all of a sudden these guys come over and they're like, hey, you wanted to talk to us? And so I have like, it just was a hilarious moment. I was like, yes, I do want to talk to you guys. And then
I think you're not making sense. Basically what happened is
I
like I saw Ari Shafir and I was just like covered in sound equipment and I went up to him and I was just like, he's obviously waiting for a drug dealer or something. Like he's like looking at his phone and like looking around and like, I don't know, where are you? So I just went over and I was like, huge fan, and I just gave him a fist pound. And then I came over to you and I was like, Ari Shafir's right there. And you were in the middle of like trying to convince these Hasidic Jewish kids to be in the movie. And I didn't even know you were doing that. I roll up and I'm like, Ari's here. And you're like, where? I was like, go over there. You should say hi. And you go over to say hi. You like left these Hasidic Jewish kids to go over and say hi to Ari. And Ari would have been in the movie. Like he's a wild boy like that.
Yeah, maybe.
If we were like, say a couple things, come on, man, you'll make this movie. It'll be so unexpected.
Yeah.
I think he would have done it because like you went over and you were like, oh my God, I'm a huge fan. I love your special Jew. And he was like, what are you doing? And you're like, we're making a movie called Wild Magic. And you start explaining. And as you're explaining to him, these Hasidic Jewish kids come in. They're like, you want to film us? And for some reason, I don't know, I wasn't there for this. You were like, yes, bye, Ari. And he just left.
He was in the middle of
insanity.
No, it wasn't. It's
okay.
All perfect.
It's all perfect. But then that interview. Oof.
Yeah, that was rough.
It's crazy that there's people that were like born and raised in New York and barely know how to speak English.
Yeah, no, I know.
It's crazy that the bubble is like that tight.
Yeah, no, I know.
Like, wow, like he didn't understand anything we were saying.
Well, because that's what happened. I had gone up to these guys and they're like, no, you need to talk to my friend. And that's why I felt, it's not like I just like ditched them.
Yeah.
I was just like, okay, find your friend who speaks English. You know what I mean?
That's who they brought?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I know.
He had no idea what we were talking about.
I know.
You know, we were like, hey, what's Judaism all about? Like, hey, what's today? Because they were obviously doing some sort of ritual. We're like, what's this ritual all about? And he's like, what? We're like, what's Judaism? We're like, give us something. And he was just like, what? And then he just went into some like prepared speech, and I couldn't understand a word he was saying. Oh wow! It was so surreal.
It was surreal, though.
Yeah, totally a surreal day, and it's just it feels like those. It feels like those days are like crafted to renew our faith, if we allow it to.
Totally.
And I'm glad that you and I, like, when the shoot was over and the madness was calming down, like, we were taking some moments to be like, wow.
I mean, it was the most fun I've had. Like, making documentaries as a producer is, like, fun because you get to go to all these cool places and meet all these cool people. But, like, a lot of times when the filming's actually happening, unless I'm, like, directing it more, which happens on sometimes.
Yeah, you're trying to hide.
I'm hiding.
Yeah, it happens to me too. I am directing, and it's probably the best thing to do sometimes for me is to hide.
Just like falling back. But to be like so in it, it's very exciting.
Yeah.
And very fun.
Yeah, and we're like, wow, we're golden. We're such a good team. We get along so well. We're like playing off of each other. Like it was just like smooth. We've done like 3 or 4 shoots now, just us two. Smooth.
Every time I'm learning so much, and there's a bit of a learning curve, but I think I know we've captured really beautiful stuff.
Yeah. And what we set out to do, and again, like I always say, if you have an intention or a vision for something, just keep holding that thing, and it'll allow you to see it. But it not only allows you to see it in the world, it attracts those people to you.
Mm-hmm.
Because from the beginning, we said, what would be an amazing way to make this film would be to film with somebody, and they tell us who the next person to film with is.
Yeah, we get passed around like a baton.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was-
exactly. So it's totally happening. Everyone we meet that we make aware of this, some name pops into their head, and it's usually the name that pops into their head right away
Mm-hmm.
is the one that we're interested in, not the one you have to think about or whatever. It's just like, hey, who's the most magical person you know? That first thing that comes in your head, that's who we want to film with.
Yeah.
And it's been working out.
No, it's been so fun. I really appreciate what it's bringing out between us,
Yeah.
too. I think it's pretty cool.
Well, and then I feel like we dipped into the other side of it. We're in the yin yang.
For
of
the
life.
record, you're bringing this up. I'm not.
I don't give a shit.
Okay.
What do you mean? Bring what up? I'm just saying
The yang.
we were so on fire for the past couple weeks, just like literally shooting every day. Whether we have business shooting or not, we're like, oh, nice sunset though. Let's go out there. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
like, literally just whatever, and we end up meeting people. It's insane. We keep like.
That's how we've made all our movies, but yeah.
But like literally, we're just sitting here in Peekskill, and we're like, God, it's nice out. Let's just go down to the waterfront and film the sunset on the waterfront. And we're filming, and then there's this like beautiful silhouette of this fisher and this kid going up to this fisherman. And while we're filming that, this lady comes up to us. She's like, "What are you doing?" Hey, welcome to Peekskill. I'm like, "Oh, we've been here our whole life. We're down in the city for 20 years." And she's like, "Well, I'm a grant writer, and I help people like you guys get money. I distribute the billions of these rich guys and try to get it into the hands of you guys." And we're like, "What?" I guess this is why we came
Huh?
out. So it's just like magical thing after magical thing, and we're so on fire, and we've been loving stand-up comedy and trying to get into that world. And we saw Jordan Jensen was playing these shows at the Palisades Mall, and we're like, we should go to one of those shows. And then I was thinking, it'd be cool. Like for some reason, I just had a vision of you like shooting the shows, and I was like, that'd be cool. And then she posts on her stories, I need someone to shoot these shows this weekend, and it just felt like another magical thing. But I lost the narrative at some point,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when we signed up for it, I was like a little weary. I was like, this is very exciting on paper, but actually carrying it out might be like actually like grueling and feel like work and feel like a distraction and feel like a few days of like losing our path a little bit. And I don't think it netted out to that, but I had to go through the jungle of self-doubt and
Well, I was explaining to your parents, like, the reason you've made so many movies and done so much in this lifetime is because you don't like making anyone else your boss. And I
Yeah.
think you wanted to come through, and it just ends up being a lot of media, and you want to edit the show so it makes sense and go from the wide shot to the closer up shot. And it's just
Yeah.
like a lot of work, and you care, and you want to like provide that. You went it above and beyond, and you were just kind of,
when I do a job, I do it well. I want to. I really do. It's
Mhm.
important to me, especially if we're like going out on a limb and she doesn't know who the fuck we are. We're just like random people that hit her up and we're like, we would do this. And yeah, I was just like, I don't know. I just lost the narrative. Like every day we're like driving 45 minutes to this mall that we hate. We hate malls. Like it's just like, what are
luckily
we
she's freaking
doing?
hilarious.
She is so funny. She's next level.
And it was fun to see her like work stuff out and how stories changed and her bits changed a
None
little bit.
of the 5 shows, no 2 were anywhere near alike. So thank God we're not trying to cut together like a special from those 5 shows
Yeah.
because she wore different outfits first of all, but like the set completely changed, and yeah, it was fascinating in that way.
It was like very clarifying for us also. I mean, because we have talked about it for a while that like, all right, the stand-up special has kind of come into a box, and we're just kind of exploring like, is this something we'd want to take out of the box?
Yeah.
Do we like stand-up enough and filming it? Like, how do we want to film it, the special, but then are we interested enough in this to potentially, given the opportunity, to take it out of its normal traditional framework, and whether it's man on the street or more in the green room or more, just like a hybridization of like podcast. Not that sounds
Yeah,
lame,
it's like
but
podcast meets documentary meets stand-up special. Like the way I would pitch it is like to someone like Jordan is be like, hey, let's put out an hour-long special, but it's only a half hour of your material.
mm-hmm.
and we'll keep cutting back to the club, but we're going to cut away from the club, and we're going to see you in the diner with Ian Fidance after a run of shows, and you guys are just talking, and you're walking around this weird mall making jokes, and we're on the car ride to the next place. We're in your apartment as you're stressed out getting together, but like,
yeah, and you just find
and we're still finding punchlines, and we're still trying to hit certain like laughs per minute throughout, but we're only going to burn a half hour of your material.
LPM.
Laughs per minute, yeah. which is important. Jordan's new special has some of the highest laughs per minute of any special.
It's really squeezed them in.
We have a playlist on our YouTube channel called Stand Up.
Yeah, because
We've just been logging all of our favorite stand-up comedians that have specials on YouTube.
Which is a lot.
It's a lot. There's like 35 things on there.
Really good ones, too.
Yeah, and more to come.
But I don't know. I like that. I mean, I got really a lot better at the camera. A lot more confident. I mean,
she was blown away.
The first day we packed in and packed out, I was a mess. Second day, I was dialed in. By the third day, I'm like, I got this.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, we might have bitten more than we can chew, but every day you chew it a little bit more, you're like, oh, I got this. You know? And it feels lame to have to do something maybe that you're simultaneously over and underqualified for.
That's exactly what it felt like. That's the perfect way of describing it. It was like the perfect storm for me just being perpetually frustrated for 3 days.
Yeah.
Like,
you're like, I'm a director. Like, what am I doing?
What the fuck am I doing?
She's mainly expecting me to show up with an iPhone. So it's like she doesn't care what we're doing.
Her openers were like, look at their equipment. They were the real deal. And she's like, what have you guys done before? Yeah, I guess I'll check that stuff out. And we're like, okay, she has no idea who we are. This isn't helping that we took this on,
Well, I knew it wasn't going to help. It was for us, but like you say, it's so easy to lose the narrative.
That's all that happened to me.
Because you feel humiliated. You're like, what? I'm now doing like busybody work when I have a real film that I care about, and I'm now distracted from that. And
just managing all this media. I was like, what the fuck did we just take on? You know what I mean? It's one thing to go shoot the shows. It's like it's fun to be at the shows. It's afterwards the nightmare kicks in. I'm like, every one of these clips takes an hour to get onto our computer. Our computer's running like shit because of all this media. We have layers of audio. It was just like so much to deal with and put together. But I cut together 4 out of the 5 shows.
We'll also learn.
And they look beautiful. They could be put out as specials.
Yeah, and you need to learn how to like color. We need to learn how to color correct. Like we have a Blackmagic and an A7S. Like, can we use those 2 cameras together?
Mm-hmm.
Like, will they go on a timeline together? Will it look good? Can you make it look half decent?
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna shoot this thing with Daniel. Like, yeah, ideally we have 2 A7Ss or 2 Blackmagics, but like we can make it work with what we got.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate the challenge, but like I guess we needed to take on some weird thing to have a fire lit under our ass to even use both cameras and put ourselves to the challenge and be like, can we take this on? And like, the truth of the matter is we rose to the occasion. I did not though. And you put up with that. And, I don't know why, but you put up with it.
I didn't put up with it. I have a broken toe now because of it.
Oh, yeah. From what? From being violently angry?
Yeah. You were being a little fucking...
Yeah, I was a bitch.
Being a little bitch. And I was like, can you stop being a bitch? And so
Damn.
I know the thought would be like, yeah, did that stop the recording?
Yep. Keep it going.
Yeah, I know. I get violent when I feel trapped. And it's not that I want to hurt you. I never want to hurt you.
No, you never have.
I feel trapped, and I just want... The reality starts to feel so constricted, like we're in this loop of limiting beliefs that I just want to like break out of, and I don't know how to do it. And obviously then I physically hurt myself as a way to like break the energy, but it's not a good way to do that.
Yeah.
Because my toe really hurts.
Yeah.
It's throbbing.
It's one of those things when you're doing that, I'm like, hey, do what you got to do, whatever. But like,
no,
just reverse the gender role here, and I would be in a goddamn mental hospital. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it would be like, whoa, Sean, it's only a matter of time before he turns that on me, type of shit. But I don't know. Luckily, I'm not that way. I'm a bitch, but I don't even raise my voice in doing so.
I know, but that's why it's so frustrating, because I can't break through to you. You just keep... I'm like, I can't like I can't physically hurt you. I can't.
Yeah.
So I physically just like
No,
it's
like
I feel like we're trapped in this like negative loop that I can't get out of. So I'm
Yeah.
just like, ugh. Like I go into Hulk mode.
Yeah, I know. Well, it literally is just like comes down to I bit off more than I could chew, and this weekend got the best of me mentally. And it literally, and I can feel it when it's happening, like I'm unemployable.
Yeah.
I can feel it, like, you know what I mean? And, but that's a good thing for me.
I know.
And it's a good thing for me to know, because being unemployable doesn't mean that I don't need to make money in my life and figure out ways to support us. It just it means I need to be a lot more crafty about what we do,
Yeah.
because it's on us. Because
Anytime you work for someone else, you are so upset, and I don't blame you. But
I can't handle it, because I'm sitting there and I'm editing these things, and I'm like, I have a Church of Chill I need to edit and put out. Like, I'm really more interested in the fucking 10 people that like these music mixes I put out and serving them. Like, that means a lot to me. Getting a podcast out consistently means a lot to me. Chipping away at this movie and squirreling away all of the material we need for the winter so I can edit it, that means a lot to me. And this just didn't fit in, and I was just like, what am I doing? And then realizing, like, the amount of hours I'm spending on this a day is the amount of hours my mom spends working every day. Most people that have regular jobs, that's the amount of time that they have to devote to it, to the point where you don't have time to do anything. That's why I was in a bad mood, and I kept saying it. I was like, well, I had to transfer footage and edit it and then export this and then get that ready and then pack the car, go down there, get ready, and then start all over again for 3 days. I didn't exercise, have sex, meditate, sweat. Like, I didn't do any of the stuff that I need to do, and I, end up relying more on fucking caffeine and nicotine and kratom to, like, get me through. And there's no chemical shortcuts for having the discipline to get through something like that.
you did great the first day.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, it's turning me on how great you're doing. And that made you even more mad, because you're like, you just want me to be a good boy.
Well, it upset me. You're like expressing like things I need to be validated for my directing. You're expressing towards me for, like, being a PA and sound guy. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with having those things, but it's like, I'm not a PA and a sound guy.
I know.
I'm a director. You never tell me my directing turns you on. You telling me that running around and coiling up wires for you is fucking getting you going? Like, what the fuck? You like me in a reduced role?
It's not how I see that. I just, like, I appreciated you just, like, being humble and of service. You know what I mean?
It felt good. It did. It felt good. The first day and shooting the first day, it's when I realized, it's when it really hit me, the tidal wave of media.
I think it just has to do with us shooting 5 shows. I think we could not have
5 shows in 4K.
And color correct it, and needing to color correct it. Like, we literally could have shot it on one camera and just sent her that footage, and, like, it would have been fine.
Yeah, and she would have been like, okay.
You did great. Like,
yeah, I guess. But this is like, I don't know. Now when she gets this, she'll be like, wow, they were particularly good at this. She saw what we did, and she was like, are you guys available to, like, go on the road, or, like, what are you trying to do? And you were, I thank God you had your wits about you. You're like, you got to pay us. Like, we're,
I was like, for a budget, yeah, of course we'll do anything.
Yeah.
I'd love to be hired by comedians versus, like, a bank or something.
Yeah. Imagine we could make a living doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
It would be really cool. But the monotony of it got to me a little bit, and the media management, because that's the other thing we would, for our movies, like, we shot the amount we'd shoot in a week for one of our movies in one night. It was just like like the sheer amount of footage was really, it was weighing on me. It felt like a weight on me. And it, like, I literally needed to digest it, process it, edit it. And then, like, when I would export them, I would feel a little bit of, like, the whew.
Yeah, you're sensitive. And
Yes.
I think it's not easy for anyone to give their time away in that way. But I think for some people, it's, like, literally impossible, and, like, makes them insane, like, crazy. And I think you're one of those people.
Well, and the life that I've become so accustomed to, and the only one that fits me like a glove, would drive most other people insane.
Yeah, because there's so much insecurity and instability and unknowing.
Yeah, like, I don't know what to do, and like, that's it's my blessing and my curse. It's like, I know what to do with my free time. I just need my free time,
Mm-hmm.
and that requires just figuring out how to most efficiently make money so we can go and do our thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am sorry I kicked the fan and threw our clothes all over the place. And
I don't care.
I know there's really no excuse for it, though. Like, there's really no excuse. I really do need to be better at, like, stepping away. And I don't know. I just, like, I want nothing more than for you to be happy in this life.
Yeah, I know.
And it just makes, like, it's such a weird thing to get mad at.
Yeah.
I'm mad that you're not happy.
Yeah.
To the point where I'm just like,
it's just in those moments, you just realize you're too zoomed in. That's all. Like a lot of our.
And you're not?
I am, but you don't have to join me in that.
Well, it
and
seems
just,
like you won't
know
let me free until I join you. Until I'm like crying and shit.
Yeah, whatever.
I mean, I don't know. I know the days that I'm more just like sensitive to you and like yeah, exactly. Like it's more zoomed out.
Like it's going to be okay. We're going to get through this shoot. Like I was just like, fucking, I can't believe we're doing this. And it just feels like such a thankless task.
Yeah, maybe but like.
It's fun.
It was fun and she's cool and stuff like that. I think just anything that takes you, I was trying to explain to your parents, like the reason Sean has made so many movies is because anything that distracts from that, he abhors.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and it almost is like in order to maintain a path, you need to have laser focus on your goals.
Well, for this path, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I guess if I was cool with just coming out with a movie like every 5 or 10 years, the way some directors do, I don't know how they do that, but if I was cool with that, I think there could be a little bit more grace there. But yeah, it does. It feels like we're up against something right now. Like not like you know what I mean? It's good. I'm thriving in this little box we're putting around ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we're getting this film done this year. We're doing this. We're capturing wild magic and we're going to edit it this winter. That's helping me. I love rising to the occasion and I feel like I do it. But yeah. My mom was telling you stand by your man.
No, it wasn't.
I don't know how that came up, but
no, it doesn't matter how it came up, I think, because it has to do with
someone else's personal life.
Someone else's personal life that's not our business. But basically, she was just talking about her relationship with your father and how, like, when you're an anchor point for someone, like in reality, like we are for each other.
It's actually probably the most serious thing in this life.
Yeah, it's like it's pretty sacred.
Yeah.
Not like in a like romantic, lovey way. Like no, in a burden of responsibility kind of way.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it can also be in the romantic, loving kind of way. That's the happy byproduct of
it's
that.
the yin yang aspect of it. It's like, oh, this person makes you feel safe and secure and alive and like life's worth living. But that also means their relationship to life is based on the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think for a lot of people, that's what mothers are.
Yeah.
You know, so people who have a hard relationship with their mother, it can be very traumatizing to not have that biological anchor point or the traditional anchor point of like your mother's love and protection.
Yeah.
And your father is also that, but very much your mother. Like I've always said, and like I couldn't stand if my mom wasn't in my life, like or like alive. You know, like I'm like having to come to terms with like the fact that she's quite a bit older than me, and like is, you know, the way
she's twice your age.
The way it's gonna go is probably I'll have to live some of this life without her here.
Mm-hmm.
But then you became an anchor point for me, and I think I became an anchor point for you. And I think we were talking about families or people who don't honor that.
Yeah.
And they let, like, if your person is wiling out and you're their anchor point and you don't, if you just let them while out, you know what I mean? And I don't mean like, oh, they're like you having a bad mood or whatever it is, or me fucking kicking a fan. No, I'm talking about drug addiction, alcoholism,
suicidal tendencies,
any of that. Like that, you're your brother's keeper in this life.
It's crazy. That term came into my head this morning.
Brother's keeper.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think a lot of people as a self-protection mechanism is like, well, they're just going to drink themselves to death, or they're, whatever. But it's like, if you're their person and they're doing that, there's like beyond marriage, there's like a sacred vow you took in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
To not just like, I think we just like wash our hands of things. Like, well, if they're going to do that, it's like, I'll take care of me. They'll take care of them. And
well, our culture breeds and rewards individuality more than anything.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's really hard to transcend that.
Yeah.
When it seems like someone's dragging you down.
And your mom has been through the worst. Sorry, your mom has been through the worst with your dad. Obviously, between
I can't imagine any worse.
It's hard to imagine worse. Like insane drug addiction, wiling out, thievery, incorrigibility, suicide.
Oh yeah.
A lot of suicidal ideation and threats and that sort of thing. A lot of crack and addiction and wildness. And
yeah.
she was talking like from her heart about how but I'm his person.
Yeah.
Like she can't just like, because you always were like, you tell me, you're like, Mom, leave him. Like, what are you doing?
Especially when I was young.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Just for the sake of everybody's safety and sanity. I was like, we should, you should leave Dad. But then I think she realized then it becomes my problem full time,
Yeah.
Basically, it was just never even on the table.
Well, I think,
we'll get through this.
This is a while ago, but you had can we talk about this?
We could talk about whatever. I don't give a
You had
damn.
an aunt who passed away of alcoholism, pretty much.
She drank herself to death.
And
my dad's little sister.
And there's a lot of anger with her husband.
Yeah.
Because it's like, if you're not going to take care of her,
Mm-hmm.
if you're not going to be her anchor point, and if you're going to allow her to kill herself, you need to bring in more family to help.
Yeah. Or at least make them aware.
Because like
make them aware of where you're at. Like, hey,
I
I'm
can't
starting
do this.
to tap out.
Like
here.
I'm tapping out. Like they're killing themselves of alcoholism.
Yeah.
I can't care anymore because I have to protect myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like you need to that's I think that's what the dissolution of community has led to this.
Yeah.
Where they didn't reach out to your family. Like it almost came as a shock to your parents. Like
we found out when she was on life support.
Yeah.
So that arose a lot of anger in the sense of like, hey, we thought you guys had each other's backs. How did this happen?
Yeah, and if you don't, you need to at least, and that's what your mom was saying to me, and kind of like, I think she was saying it to me with so wholeheartedly as like, looking at me like, you better be like this, which she knows.
Take care of my boy.
Which she knows that I am.
Yeah.
I know she was saying it wholeheartedly, but it was easy for me to be like, yeah, of course, Kathy. She's like, even if you're not going to be with him, like, you need to make sure he's okay. I'm like, yeah, you think I wouldn't set up with his next girlfriend before I left? Like, what are we talking about?
You would, sadly.
If I'm getting out of here, I'd be like, make sure you're taking care of him.
That's how I know you're packing your bags. You're like, look, so-and-so is cute. You really get along, don't you? Holy shit.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a sad state of affairs that seems to play out. And I can't even blame necessarily partners who, have been through it with their partner and just start tapping out. Like, you can't even, it's like, it's a lot for one person to be responsible for.
Yeah.
It's a lot to be someone's anchor point. But it is a heavy responsibility. That doesn't mean you have to, like, go down with that person. But we need to, like, reach out to each other and help, like, reach out to family and get support when stuff like this is happening.
Yeah. And what I try to do is, like, if someone pops into my head and I'm like, I wonder how they're doing. Are they okay? Like, I'll send them a text like, hey bro, thinking about you. I'm here for you. When they don't respond, then it's like, I really don't know what to do. It's like, now's not the time, but I put it out there that I'm here for them, But I've had that happen a number of times where I'll just feel like I'm getting just a message from the aliens like, hey, so-and-so could really use a friend right now. And I'll reach out and maybe not get a response at all. And, it weighs on you. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, it'd be interesting to have I did talk to my mom about this stuff. I had her on the podcast. I think it's episode 3. And the first thing I said is like, why did you stay with dad through all that? And that's when she started admitting to me that she took LSD when she was a teenager, and like there was a spiritual connection with my dad, and like just all of this other context that I didn't really realize.
Yeah.
And now being an adult and being in a long-term partnership, and we don't even have kids, I would totally be the same way as her. It'd be hard to think what you could do that would make me be like, I'm putting my foot down, I'm out of here. Enough's enough. You've crossed the line. Like, we got to hold space for each other.
Yeah, it's such a funny balance, and I'm lucky to have met such a kind, generous man that
Who's that?
that I can see you through stuff that bothers me about you and never even consider leaving you, because I know you're a kind, generous, loving person, and I think unfortunately not everyone is so lucky to meet those kind of people and be in a relationship to go through the ups and downs knowing that
Yeah.
like the core of their being is they're a good person and that they love you and they are a loving person. But it because I've been that lucky to find someone like that, it does make me feel like, dude, like no one's beyond reproach, I guess, or like not, what is that? That's not even what I'm trying to say. No one, like, even people deserve like our forgiveness and compassion, and doesn't mean you have to be with them, but we should, I don't know, just not assume the worst in each other or something like that, or I don't know. Then you read all these horrible stories and you're like, yeah, you should get the fuck away from that person.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I don't fucking know.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the whole thing. We don't fucking know.
Yeah.
Like sometimes, like you'll see a couple's breaking up, and you're like, "Are you putting in any effort? Are you guys trying at all? Did you do these things like that we do?" And it's just like none of that shit applies to their world. You know,
Yeah, no.
they're swimming in a completely different ocean than us. With
Yeah, and I shouldn't
completely
tell
different
someone to
rules.
stay in a sinking ship that's like
No,
killing them, you know?
And even if it's a mistake, people have to make their mistakes. It's fine.
And I'm the first person to always say you should break up with them. You know what I mean? Like, I don't necessarily think you should be with someone who it's not working out with. So I don't know why I'm exploring this space, but I think there is.
It's because my mom saw me in a bad mood this weekend and was like, "Uh-oh, I hope Cass doesn't get any bright ideas about leaving this guy." And it's like, you just see me in a bad mood because Dad's overwhelming and I'm overwhelmed this weekend. Like, I'm actually fine. I'm downstairs. I'm laughing. I'm having a good time. You're just only seeing me in these in-between moments, you know?
Yeah, I think it also just has to do with like some hurt your mom has about just being like, yo, if your partner's struggling, it's your responsibility to be there for them in like a true way.
Mm.
And I think we're all struggling from mental health and addiction and different issues.
More than ever, and it's safe to assume someone is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of how I'm more navigating making this movie, talking to people, making new friends, going deeper in our friendship, is assuming everybody's on the brink, you know, and treating them with the compassion and grace that they deserve, or someone on the brink deserves.
Yeah, and I think it's good that you reach out to people when they come into your mind like that, because I do think
people do it for me too.
Yeah, I know they
It's
do.
really cool.
I don't want to get you too cocky with your superpowers, but lately I've been having you guess. I'll be like, "Yo, oh my God, the Diamondbacks score tonight," or like, or I won't say it like that. I'll be like, "Oh, whoa, there's some wild games going on," and I'll be like, "Whoa," and you're like, "Oh, what they score?" And I'm like, you'll just be like, I'll be like, "Guess," and you'll be like 11-3 or 11-2, and I'm like, "Oh my God, how did you nail?"
How many times has this happened?
It's happened a few times, at least like maybe 6 times, where
I'm 6 for 6.
Yeah, well, within like one score.
Yeah.
On. Like,
knowing I know who won the game, I know within a point how much each team scored, and I know the point differential.
Yeah.
It's very weird. Even I was surprised.
Mm-hmm.
This started at the Willie Nelson concert because we were following like the last couple games of baseball or whatever, and the first couple games of the NFL season.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, let's see what happened in the Giants game. And you're like, whoa, try to guess the score. And I'm like 20 or 30-10. You're like, yeah, what the fuck? Try to guess the Jets score. The key with this though is I can't think about it.
Yeah.
It's like the second I can't process it even. The second you say it, just a score in big font, big thick bold font comes up, white on black text, and that's it. I just say that.
Should I look up a score from last night and
Oh,
allow?
you're killing me.
No, I'll allow people to guess it. Not even you. You already know the scores
This
from last
makes
night.
no sense what you're trying to do.
Okay, I won't do
How would what?
Because I'd be like, guess the score, and then whoever's watching, we'd give them a second. I'd be like, what did you see? And then I'll say it, and then they could see if they said so.
Okay, we could do that.
Okay.
You're just gonna pull up a game, and you're gonna say the two teams.
Mm-hmm. Should I do Bates football or football?
Football. There was more games.
Okay, NFL scores. Okay, last night, the Jets versus the Broncos. What was the score? If you don't know, think about it. What's the first thing that pops in your head? You got it? If you have to pause it, you can pause it, but it should happen pretty fast. Okay, now I'm going to reveal the score.
Okay.
Okay, you already know, so this
Yeah.
doesn't work for you. But Jets won 31 to the Broncos got 21.
Mm.
So,
Well, it's just an interesting thing that we happen to, like, almost accidentally discover.
yeah.
And yeah, I don't want to get too cocky about
Definitely
it. But
don't get too cocky.
but like almost the opposite is like, I don't want to not get cocky. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want it like.
You don't want to be superstitious, but you also don't want to devalue that you might be able to
It has nothing to do with sports scores, and it has nothing to do with me.
Yeah,
I
that
think
there is
everyone knows everything.
there is an ability to tap in if you let down your judgments.
It's crazy.
And if you let down the judgment and the filters or whatever,
Yeah.
you have a lot more access to things. So it's honoring that access and
Yes.
believing that access is there.
Yes.
And trusting that the access is there. Like we say, the access to your past self and your future self. Everything's happening at the same time. So it's like, there's like, it's a party trick to be like, oh, I know the access to the sports.
It's just transcending your like 5 crude senses and tapping into your main one, which is like you're part of a mycelium of humanity. You know what's going on. You know what's happening. But our crude senses, this is a very valuable gift that they bring us. They keep us in our own world. Mm-hmm. Like I can smell this, I can see that, I can hear that, I can feel
that's
that.
probably where you should stay most of the time.
Absolutely. The other shit would drive you insane. It would be it's too crazy. It can be useful. It can be useful when you need to make decisions or guess sports scores to impress your girlfriend.
Yeah, it does impress me.
But there's probably tons of other ways to apply that kind of shit. But I think I just I probably tap into those abilities to do what we do. You know what I mean? And same with you. Just knowing when we should go somewhere or be somewhere, or just knowing when something's resonating.
Yeah, I like
and when it's not.
I like what you're saying. Is like I don't want to get too cocky, but I don't want to diminish the value. Like, it's like trusting yourself.
No, I don't want to diminish it. It's like it's actually it surprises me. It's not like, oh, like here's a little gift that I have. No, it's like everyone has it. It's inherent to our operating system. We're just so distracted by the other stuff and the storm of thoughts going on at all times.
Yeah.
But
well, it's kind of like when we did those podcasts where we talked about remote viewing, and a lot of people were able to like guess the designs.
That was crazy.
Drew.
Yeah.
We drew like a triangle with like 3 spirals around it or something, and people were like telling us what they guessed, and people were nailing it.
They were nailing it.
And so it's just.
But what happens is it's almost like it has diminishing returns because you start thinking about it too much.
Mm-hmm.
That's almost like when you were just going to put me on the spot and do it. I'm like, no, I'm already thinking about it. I'm ready to, you know what I mean? Like my thinking mind is too ready to predict the score. This has only worked when you hit me out of nowhere and I'm not expecting you to, or this like literally it's happened 6 times.
Well, that's why.
And every time it's just like, whoa, guess what happened in the Orioles game?
Yeah, well, that's why it's like kind of private for us. Like, I don't want to make this podcast about me testing you and then you either failing or winning or whatever it is. But it's like, it's not about proving to people it's possible or whatever. It's just like, try it with yourself, try it with your friends. Like, it's a fun thing to exercise that space, like exercising the space of remote viewing. You know?
And or lucid dreaming. It's kind of all it's all in that really dicey territory where it's like you can get better at it. I think. But it's like, it's interesting to try to figure out how and what the exercises to get better at lucid dreaming, lucid living, predicting sports scores, you know, tapping into your flow. Like, what are the things that get you to that place? It's, yeah, I don't know. It kind of boggles my mind.
Or maybe this is kind of, I'm gonna go too crazy.
What? Come on, whatever. Let's get it all out. We could always reel it back in.
Well, I'm just saying, if you know, time is an illusion. When you guessed the sports store, you also made the score
Yeah.
in your reality tunnel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like your confidence that you knew the score kind of retroactively changes the score. I mean, I think that's an amount of power that I personally can't even wrap my head around or contend with, because it's like, it makes it be like, I am the sole vision of the universe, and like, but in a way you are, you are, you know what I mean? It's, this is all fake. Like, it's not even real. Like, what the fuck is going on, you know?
Yeah, but it's also my religion. You know, you
Yeah.
hear like what is the one thing I pray to? We get in the car and I'm like, hey, I hope I'm just saying a shout out to the angels that they just keep us safe on this drive and that they hold a parking spot for us. And if they want to throw a little inspiration our way, we're here for it. And so, like, you know, when you tap into those abilities, even if it's accidentally, even if it's briefly, what's an interesting thing to do is be like, well, if I could tap into that all the time, what would my life look like? What would it feel like? What would it be like? And I think luckily for us, it's kind of like pretty much what we're doing. You know, of course, life has its little ups and downs, but like, I don't know how, but we've somehow honored something to the point where I feel like we're working with the angels and we're working with magic and we're working with the aliens, and it's working out. And not that there's not a lot of tests and your perfect faith gets tested left and right, but and people disappoint you and things let you down and expectations don't get met or whatever. But pretty much, yeah, whatever that ability is, if you apply it to your life and like say, okay, well then where's the gap between what your life would look like with those abilities and what it looks like currently?
Yeah.
To me, there's not that big of a gap.
Yeah.
But I just want to figure out how to get better at working with it.
It reminds me of what, like, if I had just not judged you, like, even because I always feel like I'm judging you in response to you judging me. But I'm just like, I have to transmute energy, not just reflect it. Like, you become trapped in your reactions. Like, I'm in a prison of reactions. I'm reacting to you, reacting to me, to reacting to it, and it's like, I really just need to release judgments and like take on the ownership to transmute myself with the energy. But then I don't, like, you get resentful because you're like, if I'm doing all the transmuting, why aren't you doing the transmuting? You should do the transmuting for once. Can you fucking transmute your energy? Why do I have to transmute my energy so you can fucking calm down? You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it becomes this like judgment rather than just being like, well, I want to transmute my energy so I'm not hurting myself. You know, like, it doesn't matter the chicken or the egg or where it all started. It's just, it's just making me come back around to like that. What gets me so angry is like my judging mind, and I feel like my judging mind becomes justified because I'm judging you, judging me, but like then you think that you're judging, I'm judging you.
Oh yeah.
And it's, you know, we like agree pretty much 100% of the time, but we still like how we get to that.
How we
agreement.
get there. Yeah, how we get there can
I'm
be
like,
very
I
dicey.
agree with you. What are we fucking? We're both like, we're both screaming at each other. What are we fighting about?
Yeah. Maybe that energy just needs to be expended sometimes, and that's
Yeah,
okay.
we should have gone for a run.
A run or a sauna usually will squelch any urge to blow up at each other unnecessarily.
Yeah.
And it is frustrating, of course.
Well, and I think that's like the thing with us identifying as one person. Like, I know we joke about this, but people have this like also within their own fights within themselves, like the way you're mean to yourself.
Yeah.
You judge yourself, or, you know, and for us it's like it's an internal dance, but it's also an external dance.
I mean, I think it's why people can be most rough with their parents and siblings, because they're just like the most just hardcore,
like reflection,
crystal clear reflection of you, you know. When I lose it towards my parents, not even on them, they might, like, it might be just me venting. It's because I'm fucking so frazzled by the idea that I am that, and I can see it and I can feel it, and You know, like luckily I'm the perfect concoction of them that has allowed me to do some things with my life. Because if I was too much like my dad, I'd be paralyzed, and if I was too much like my mom, I'd be a workaholic. I'm somewhere in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, my qualities that are very much like my dad that terrify me are kind of balanced by self-awareness, which I don't think my dad has a lot of,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe he has too much.
I don't know.
There's something going on there that doesn't allow for like real growth to take place.
We all have bouts of self-awareness and then a lack thereof. Like, it was
Oh,
hilarious. I
totally.
don't mean to call you out, but you're
Totally.
like, my dad's treating me like a chump, and I'm like, you literally just treated him like a chump. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
You're
But to
like,
me, there was context.
yeah, but yeah.
I was like, "Hey, Dad, chill. Can come back to it. We're in the middle. Can you chill for a second?" He won't stop. And then I treat him like a chump. And I'm like, he was treating me like a chump. And it's like, you just did that to him. Oh my God! You need to get this motherfucker a hearing aid. I think most of our arguments could be avoided.
But it's also kind of nice that he doesn't hear our arguments. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
He literally couldn't eavesdrop if he wanted to.
He's like, what?
He's like, you guys were screaming at each other downstairs?
I was like, yeah, and we were screaming to leave us alone, and you wouldn't leave us alone. And then I treated him like a chump, and he's like, what the hell where's this coming from? I was like, I was warning you with peace and love, not come down here right now.
It's so silly.
Yeah. But look, I think what we're trying to do is by having these conversations is like by just keeping the priorities straight.
Mm-hmm.
And I always come back to, I'm just doing my best. I'm going to keep trying to do my best. And me doing my best is having patience and being less reactive and being more compassionate. And if I don't have the context for why someone's behaving a certain way, who cares? Still treat them with kid gloves. Still treat them nicely. Still treat them the way you'd want to be treated. It's hard. It takes
Because
discipline.
everyone else is trying their best too.
Yeah.
Like, it's just,
Yeah.
everyone's trying their best.
Yeah. I was getting, like this weekend, I was so frustrated at this comedian because I was like, she's not going to come say hi or thank you or like, here's what I want or anything like that. Like, it was really getting to me. It was the disrespect. But then, like, I realized I'm like, the reason I love her is because she's a lot like me. She's kind of antisocial and a little neurotic and like self-conscious, and she's able to use all that wild energy to channel it into comedy that really resonates and cuts through. And yeah, of course she's not the type of person that's going to be like up in our shit and looking over our shoulder and saying this and that. And then like I'm sitting there complaining about like how she's not bothering, and then she came out and like was so sweet and appreciative and humble and like just validating what we were doing. And
It was my bad because I like just kind of,
yeah,
I could have gone up to her in the first day.
because you don't care about that stuff. That's the whole thing.
Yeah,
Like,
I
you don't
don't.
give a fuck. You're like, I signed up for this. She's going to pay us. Whatever. Let's just do the job and get in and out of there. And I'm like, why the hell am I doing this? We're making minimum wage to do this thing. Like, what? What are we doing? Like, I did this not for the glory, but at least to make a new connection, to like say hi, say I appreciate your podcast, I appreciate your art, you know. And I didn't even get a chance to do that, and it just was like adding to this level of frustration of already being in a weirdly diminished role. But I pulled myself out of it. She helped a lot by coming out and being like beyond gracious and sweet. And but then it's also like I need to do her and myself a favor by saying all those things I just said. Like, yeah, she's crazy too. She's self-conscious too, you know. She's probably nervous too to meet new people and all that shit. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can't. People are perfect in a lot of ways.
Yeah, we're all doing our best.
Yeah.
We're all doing, and when it seems like someone's not, the best thing you could do is like figure out how to help them see a path towards that.
Or maybe they're not the best person for you and you need to have a boundary and that you're not, like, this is not
Yeah.
working out. It's not working out.
No?
Yeah, I mean, we're working out. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Your mom was not telling me that stuff because she thought I was going to leave you or anything.
No, but that's just that's the way my parents work. They catastrophize everything. You know, they see the world through a very tragic lens for obvious reasons, and their way of they love you so much. Their only way of expressing it anymore is by being like, please don't leave our boy. We need you in our family. We know he's a handful. You know, that it honestly is their way of expressing
Yeah,
love
no.
towards you and appreciation. And yeah, you kill it in that household. It's I'm very much appreciative for the type of woman you've become.
Ditto. The
For
type
real.
of woman you've become too is awesome.
I'm proud of the type of woman I've become. It's taken a while, but I'm getting there.
Every day you're more beautiful.
I'm softening.
Yeah.
I'm beautifying.
You really are softening. It's been nice.
I appreciate you saying that, especially after a wild few days of me just being completely despondent. And
No,
Yeah.
I was like, fuck. There come fewer and farther between, but
my outbursts.
there's a little grit still in there.
Yeah, it's always the same concoction that brings it out.
It's
just,
like I should know better, so then I beat myself up. Like, fuck, I should have known better.
oh yeah, but there's a lot of times nothing you can do because it's what my psyche does is like I just want to come through for people. That's usually what crush. If there's ever a weight I get crushed under, it's wanting to come through for people and feeling like I'm not doing a good job at it is where I start to really fucking lose my shit.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time, I'm the reason I feel that way, and they're not even putting that on me. I just want to come through for them. I just want to be the best partner, friend, filmer, director, podcaster, whatever. I want to come through. And when I feel like I'm not in some way or I'm distracted, whew, doggy.
So do you want to move it over to the Patreon?
I would love to.
Okay.
More to come. Patreon.com/churchofchill. We do this for as many episodes as we put out on YouTube. We put out probably more on the Patreon.
Yeah, there's a great episode with our friend Jesse and.
Oh, yeah, we did a great episode with our friend Jesse in Queens, very magical being, and the camera cut out during it. So we didn't put it on.
Because
on
we were
the
trying to do
YouTube.
2 cameras, and then we used this one that's our old reliable on him, and then the other one, I don't know.
Old Reliable came through, but basically we just have a locked off shot on him the whole time. And I thought for his podcast debut for the world, like that'd be a tough
We'll
position
have
to
him
put
on
him. It's
again.
like an interrogation. But the podcast is beautiful. You should listen to it and watch it. It's on patreon.com.
There is an audio only too.
There's an audio only too. Patreon.com/churchofchill. Deeply appreciate your support. It really means the world to us. Any new people joining the conversation in our Discord, throwing new songs out there, movie recommendations, stand-up recommendations.
The next Church of Chill you're about to edit, I'm really excited about that one.
Oh,
too.
one of my favorite episodes,
that
Tiny Ugly World. Stay tuned for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to go over to the Patreon. We'll talk some more.
Cool.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us. Peace, love, and magic, y'all.